Welcome back to MMA at the Rock 2 here on the Fight Network. A welterweight showdown between James Lepage and Nick Marinos.
And now,
next.
fighters to the cage, please, for our third bout of the evening.
Here we see James Lepage. He lists his school as Tong Mu Do from Richmond, BC.
That's kind of a traditional martial arts school that now teaches mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, coming from traditional martial arts and then just bringing in other traditional martial artists so you have a mixture of martial arts isn't necessarily MMA. Calling your school MMA, you know, these days makes a lot of sense. A lot of people are interested in the sport and, you know, it's good for membership, but just bringing in different styles of martial arts does not make you an MMA gym. So let's find out if Tong Mu Do has the full scope of the skill set.
Set to make his way to the cage is Nick Marinos.
Tricky Nick Marinos from North Vancouver, BJJ. So, you know, if Tong Mu Do has any, you know, as a fresh MMA gym, if they have any weakness in their ground game, this guy's going to look to exploit that. We're at a very interesting time in MMA. You know, we all know that boxing, Muay Thai, American wrestling, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and great conditioning are the building blocks. But there are people still, you know, that are bringing in different elements and different schools and trying to make it work in the sport of mixed martial arts.
It's funny you say that because there's lots of fighters out there that say that they don't train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when you talk about the 5 elements of mixed martial arts. And it's like, I've never trained a day in Jiu-Jitsu in my life. I trained submission wrestling or catch wrestling. Whatever way you look at it, you have to learn how to fight from your back.
Oh, absolutely. Let's hear what Paul Lazenby has to say here.
This bout will be contested under MMA BC amateur rules over 3 rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first, standing in the blue corner to my left, representing Richmond MMA out of Richmond, British Columbia, James Lepage. And fighting out of the red corner to my right, an independent fighter out of North Vancouver, British Columbia. Please welcome Tricky Nick Marinos. Your referee for this bout will be Jason Dara.
Well, Nick Marinos has a nickname, and I think James Lepage should have a nickname, and you know how I am with nicknames, so we're going to give Mr. Lepage the nickname Royal. James Royal Lepage.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's see if we can get crowned the winner here. Marinos looks to be in great shape.
He really does.
But he was listed as independent too, so, you know, he may be one of these guys who travels around and trains, where Lepage comes from a real academy where, you know, he gets in to study 5-6 nights a week. So let's see how they match up.
The two fighters touch gloves, and if I was judging this based on looks, it looks like Lepage is a traditional martial artist.
His stance appears to be, and his takedown defense right there seems to indicate that he, you know, comes from a more traditional background.
But he's doing the right thing right now, Robin. He's not turning away.
No, you're absolutely right. And, you know, it'd be nice to see him, you know, just turn his body a little bit more. I don't know if he's got sweeps in his arsenal. It might be time to look to regard, but we're seeing a nice little base out of Marinos.
Marinos now fighting in the half guard. Looks like he's content to just stay there.
Look at the legs of Royal Lepage right there. See, now he did get past, but he didn't even have his half guard closed. He's going to be in danger here early.
Marinos now just pounding from the top.
Oh, look at this.
For the, looks like he was looking for a key lock or an Americana from the mount.
Yeah, Lepage is trying to keep himself close, which is good instincts, but he's got to push down on one of those legs there, use that elbow, and try to, look at this, he's going to be able to regain the half guard, it looks like. Very nice work.
So needless to say, he has spent some time training off of his back.
Right now, you can see that half guard, he's got neither his legs triangled or the lockdown, so he's just kind of out there. Right now, he's in danger. Look at Marinos' posture. He's going to posture up and try to drop that right hand.
Now no damage being done from the top by Marinos.
Now he's thinking about advancing to the mount. That seems to be, you know, his number one priority here. He's doing a little bit of body head now. But Lepage has no real answer. He's reguarded, which, you know, that's very good work from, you know, from the back there. That's a good start.
And we saw him momentarily put the foot on the hip, so maybe a triangle.
There's a triangle available right now if he was familiar with it. That right leg right over the shoulder, and it's in. All he's got to do is basically go straight up north on a map, and he's there.
And Marinos back to the half guard position. A couple of shots. Less than 1 minute left in the opening round.
Yeah, again, look at the half guard of Lepage. It's just wide open. He's kind of triangling his feet a little bit, but you know, it's just not a very sound half guard. And now he's being pushed away, and that right hand is going to find a home pretty soon. Oh, he's in
the full mount once again.
Good instincts on Marinos to try to flatten him out with those grapevines. Now he's going to look to finish right here.
And I'd be surprised if he gets this, because you know, all Lepage has to do is buck and roll, and he'd be able to sweep him from this position.
Yeah, but Lepage has shown that he's just not experienced in this area. You know, off his back, his jiu-jitsu hasn't looked sound.
And there we see the tap. Nick Marinos, first round submission over James Lepage.
Yeah, James Lepage didn't have an answer when he was put on his back. And that sometimes will just, you know, it's going to be a good lesson for him when he goes back to concentrate on his weaknesses.
Because, Robin, maybe he's schooling everybody in the gym.
Maybe he is, and here we see, so look how quick this takedown comes, and he just seemed really unfamiliar, just held onto the head, and that's an indication he's missing some of the fundamental building blocks. Gave up that mount quite easily on a couple of occasions here, took a bit of damage. You know, once he was on the ground, he just didn't have it in him. He may be one of the toughest strikers in the universe, but we won't get to see it if you don't have any takedown defense and don't have the ability to get back up. And that was the story here. That was a nice finish for Marinos, so, you know, he could tell that he had opportunities maybe he wouldn't have against somebody who was a little more seasoned in jiu-jitsu, and he took what was given to him.
And that's what you have to do. You have to go with what you know. If you want to be successful in mixed martial arts, time to put the ego aside and just use the skills that you've been taught. And we've seen that here from Nick Marinos. Yeah,
he did a really nice job. You know, I love watching amateur fights because they still have many question marks left in them. You know, do guys come in with the full skill set? Is one guy bigger or smaller or different? We see some really fun matchups at this level.
Referee Jason Dara has called a halt to this contest at 2 minutes and 55 seconds of the very first round. Your winner by Americana arm lock submission, Tricky Nick Marinos.
Nick Marinos wins actually by Americana. More MMA when we return.